All right, looks like we are on.
We're live.
Episode 4 of the Buffet Show. Welcome. I'm here today in San Jose with my good friend, Todd Inoue. I've known him, oh my gosh, since like 99, 98.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go, just kind of go through a little bit of your bio. I looked through your LinkedIn account.
Oh, yeah.
And was able to kind of just pull a little bit of your experiences. You know, you were doing some freelance writing with Vibe Magazine, Double XL, Herb, did some hip hop editing, which I saw your name first through the Tower Records Pulse magazine.
Yeah, buddy.
And so you were a hip hop editor of that. You're a contributing editor for Hyphen Magazine, KQED, a lot of magazines and other online places where they no longer exist.
Right.
So now he's currently senior editor now.
Editor and writer, yes.
With Apple. Maybe we'll talk about Dre a little bit later. But
keeps declining my meetings. I don't know why, but that's okay. I think he's got better things to do.
So now he's with Apple right now, but was huge in terms of me getting into journalism as well and seeing names, because I was a big fan of liner notes and still am, and seeing bylines. And so I also saw you on Giant Robot magazine, and was able to read a lot of your stuff through them as well. And now you're doing this. I kind of wanted to just go back in terms of, you know, how you got into the business, how you got into writing. Was it something that, you know, while you were a little kid growing up in the Bay Area? And where'd you grow up in?
I was an East Bay kid.
Okay.
I'm usually associated with the 408, but actually my first 10 years I was in East Bay in Albany. And may I point out really quick, this wonderful selection of Natto that Jerry procured. We are going to be sampling them a bit later. So cheers to Jerry.
Oh, that's right. So we'll be drinking and taste testing some Natto while conversing about Todd's just career and celebrating it.
Still in evolution in progress. Grew up in the East Bay, went to Cornell Elementary, Albany Preschool, and Marin Elementary. With one of the classmates was Matt Freeman from Operation Ivy and Rancid. We were actually pals from those days. And now he's a big rockin' star, so it was kind of fun. We went to go see Rancid over at the Greek Theater maybe about a month ago. And there he was on stage, and it was so cool to see him up there, along with Tim Armstrong, who's another East Bay guy, singing songs about the East Bay. And here I am, 51 years old, in the East Bay again, you know, with my family watching this go down. And then moved to San Jose, and let's say 77. I was 11 years old. Went from a predominantly multicultural Albany post-hippie 70s situation in Albany, because all the Berkeley grads bought cheap houses in Albany and raised their kids there. So it was a very open, very free environment, very diverse. Then I came to San Jose in the mid 70s, and it was the widest white community. It was a big culture shock. Grew up going to like the Berkeley, Higashi Unganji bazaars, so I'd see my grandfather drinking and having fun with his pals and playing the games, and then kind of like when I moved to San Jose, it wasn't until like I was probably in college I kind of reconnected with the Asian American community and Japanese American community through friends and of course college, just meeting all kinds of different people and communing with them. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the 408 now. I intend to stay here for a while, as long as I can. I like it here, and it's it's a good existence.
How did you get into writing? I think part of it was specifically music writing. Was that something that was just like, you're sitting in your parents' crib and listening to records?
Oh man!
Was there some influence, through them, or was it through friends? How did specifically this whole this journey that you've taken in terms of just, as a review, as a writer, as an editor, how did that start?
It's kind of weird because my parents didn't really care about music that much. I mean, they had maybe 4 records in their collection. And I just remember like in mid-70s, for our birthday, we got like the Jackson 5 Greatest Hits album. And so we played that like constantly, like all the time. We did all the stuff backwards and forwards. And then when there'd be a birthday or something like that, we get like a K-Tel record because they're not splash on each individual album. So we get all the K-Tel records. I still have them in my crib over there. And then just listening to KFRC on the radio and Dr. John Rose and KYA and all the AM stations. And then I just started to listen to a lot of music this way. And being in the East Bay, there's things like KSOL, so you got a lot of the 70s funk and Kool and the Gang and the Manhattans and all the great mid-70s soul groups that were getting play on KSOL and the Bay Area stations. And then moving here, it was all rock radio. It was like KOME, KSJO, KLIV, and so I was exposed to that all during the mid-70s. It was just something I felt really connected to, like the soul stuff. And then coming over here and saw everybody was bumping Queen and Led Zeppelin. And I kind of saw their side of the coin. I do remember in 5th grade, or 6th grade, they would let us bring in 45s. And they had one record player. The only rule was no Kiss, because he was a good Christian teacher. Because he felt it was like...
So specifically Kiss
was like verboten. Yeah, verboten.
All right.
So I ended up bringing all the 45s I collected from back in Albany, Shaka Khan, Kool and the Gang, Cheech and Chong records even, and putting them on this little like turntable. And these kids had never heard these records before. And so I would be getting, that was like the first time ever like learning the power of what a DJ would go through. So I'd be like grabbing their 45s, and that was like Queen, and the girls were bringing the Saturday Night Fever, disco songs, and especially Grease. Grease was really huge with the girls. And they'd be like, "Can you please play my record?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," because I was still kind of new to school, so it was one way to make friends as well. Right. And so like play these records and then slip in the 45s I had, which were super funky PT Express. And so I kind of got this reputation as someone that kind of knew music back in elementary school.
Right.
And at the same time, writing was something I kind of came naturally. That I always looked forward to like fictional assignments when we had to do them in class. And I remember getting A's on things and papers and poetry assignments in 7th grade. And I sucked at math. I was terrible at math. So writing came easy to me. And so when you pair up all this musical knowledge that you're gaining and you just kind of stockpiling, it's got to come out somewhere at some point. I graduated from San Jose State, jumped into a couple of years ahead in advertising. Graduated in advertising, the BA. So I thought, I think it was 30-something, the show, kind of like framed advertising agencies as really cool jobs. And I thought, oh man, this is like my dream job.
That was the ABC show.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Go look it up on the Wikipedia.
Right.
And so, I found some friends that also were in advertising. I'm like, oh, I don't know what else I'm going to do. So I'll just do that. And I got my degree and worked for 2 years in like an advertising agency making ads. And at the end of the 2 years, the agency business is kind of going down. It's mostly retail and things like that, and some software stuff. And there was not a lot of fun stuff to write about. So I kind of made this decision that I wanted to get paid to write about something I was passionate about. And so I went back to school. I went to junior college again. I went to take a bunch of classes that I should have taken back when I was supposed to be getting my education. It's things like Asian American Studies. And I joined the journalism program, the magazine journalism program at San Jose State. And that's where, and before that also, I spent a semester at De Anza College studying film and photography. And one of the teachers there, Susan Tavernetti, would read the papers I was writing in the film class and go, you should really consider doing, this have you ever considered doing this for a living? I said, okay, I didn't think about that. I was doing things like comparing and contrasting Birth of a Nation with Do the Right Thing. And putting together these kind of like almost like all weekly type of stories. And just for my own pleasure, really, because it was like fun to write about things like that. And I remember, and that assignment, she came back and said, this is really great. You might want to consider doing it. And she was a writer for Palo Alto Weekly.
Oh, okay.
And so with her encouragement, I joined the magazine program at San Jose State. I already graduated. I'm just taking the classes for fun. And one of the classes was magazine production. And I pitched a story on Consolidated. This is in 1992. Consolidated was a industrial rock rap band. And I just really liked them at the time, and I thought maybe they would take it, and they did accept the proposal. And I just went into it just full on. So it took me like a month to set up the interview, but I drove up in my Volkswagen Bug to the Mission District where they were living. And somehow I set it up with the label like through phone calls. I don't know how they let me do it, but they just said, "Oh yeah, okay, you sound like you know what you're talking about." And I had seen them a bunch of times and knew the backstory, and that was my first clip.
Oh, bam!
Access Magazine, shout out, San Jose State, Dr. Gala, thank you very much, put me on. So that was my first time communicating or sitting down with a recorder, scared out of my ass in this kind of a gnarly place in San Francisco, and sitting down with these three guys I've only seen on stage, but I had like prepped an entire bunch of questions, and it went really well. And that thing, this story got me my internship at Metro, and how you get on in a magazine is so old school, but it was all about the grind. It was grinding. And so I was an intern there, and pretty soon I was just doing jobs, and I was there for like 2 or 3 months after my internship had ended, just showing up because I had work I had to do. I wasn't getting paid. It was all just, if I left, who was going to do this stuff? And right about that same time, the music writer was about to take off and go move. And this position opened up, and it was just the perfect time.
How long were you there for where you weren't getting paid?
It was like a summer. So it was like June through August. Mm-hmm. And they kind of saw I was being more forceful on things like organizing the letter section and getting the events all ready to go and the Metro guide and what to do this weekend. And then I was doing stories, like writing actual stories and submitting them. And I think they kind of got wind that we might get in trouble if we don't start paying this guy. And so they put me on the payroll, and I think my opening salary was 18 G's, 18.5. And coming from that agency, which was basically part-time, I was like, this is it. I'm getting paid to write about music and things I'm passionate about. And at the time, it was music and Asian American culture. So anytime like a performance artist played at San Jose Stage or some author was giving a reading, David Murrah at San Jose State, I'd go seek him out, like go find out who the contact was, write it up, and put me in contact with a lot of cool people.
That's cool. Yeah. I think we'll kind of stop a little bit because I know Natto is what we're gonna do as well. So, should you just pick one?
Yeah.
Let's pick one. So we'll go with this this one right here. That one right here.
Can you read it?
Now I'm gonna go look at the nutrition facts, and then they have the name on it. Oyama tofu mugitoro natto. So we're gonna start here.
Okay.
All right.
May I just say that I've never not loved a natto growing up. So all you natto haters can go.
Never.
Never. Always loved it. Always loved it.
Oh, I've always loved it too.
Yeah.
So that's why this is kind of special.
Yeah, buddy.
So, all right, here we go. So we're gonna try this one out. Oh, you need to go straight for the puncture.
Yeah, I'll try.
You don't mess around. All right. So for this one, it's kind of in a little. It's like that.
Now, why don't you explain what's inside?
Inside. So depends, right? So you've got your fermented soybean, which is natto. You also get like a seasoning packet. Sometimes you get the mustard packet, which is that yellow.
I'm very pro mustard packet.
I'm pro too. So some of them don't carry it. Some of them don't have it.
They're slipping.
So I like it because we'll get into the other ones too, which have the styrofoam packaging.
We're gonna need way more napkins. I can already tell.
All right, so we're gonna start here.
Just from the visual,
yeah,
it's got a mixture of like fresh and really fermented. I don't know if y'all can see.
Oh yeah. Well, I think mugitoro, it's got the barley in it.
Oh,
so this is a little bit of barley.
Oh, that is, yeah.
So it's a mixture of both barley and fermented soybean.
We also mentioned that Jerry prepped a bunch of green onion scallions. I know everybody's rushing around. You get home, you got some leftover rice, but you're often too lazy to break out the scallions and cut it up and mess up a cutting board or a knife. Take that extra second and get the green beans going, or the green onions going, because it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. We're also, so with this review here, with this tasting, we're not going to use the seasoning. All these companies have different types of seasoning, some sweet, some more savory. We're just going to go mustard packet, a little bit of scallions. Are you going to do egg?
You go ahead with the egg.
I'm going to do quail egg.
All right.
I'm going to do quail egg. And then we also have kikkoman, low sodium soy sauce as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
Oh, get that?
Did you just shoot out?
Hell yeah.
All right.
We can cut that in post.
No, this is one take. Ain't no edits. No edits. I got some shell up in here too.
That's an extra texture.
But we go ahead and do that. Go ahead and mix it up. This is new for me. I usually don't do anything else with my natto. No mugi or anything like that.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, you already gonna start up? Hold on a second. Let me mix it up. You wanna mix it up, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go overall taste.
Visual presentation's murky, but it's the beans look good. Sometimes you get the dark beans or it's a little bit dry, and that's always a boner killer for me.
Check out the sliminess. I'm just gonna show the folks on the sliminess there.
Yeah, it's very slimy. I would say an 8 out of 10 on the slimy scale. I mean, owes a lot to the egg, but
all right,
you're gonna have to throw away your sponge after you clean the hashi.
All right, I'm gonna go at it.
You gotta slurp it too. A little on the mild side.
It is very mild actually.
We want the mustard, so I think you could like can gussy it up a bit.
The barley kind of gives it a little bit more earthiness to it. But I like a little bit more punch. It is definitely mild.
And this is the first time I'm having the barley inside too. Have you seen that before? Did your family eat it in any bizarre way?
No.
Just otherwise?
I'm more of that natto, mustard, soy sauce, scallion, egg. I'm not talking about quail egg. When I was a little kid, it was a whole chicken egg.
Oh no!
Yeah, I went deep into that. So, and then hot rice.
Yeah.
Right.
So my grandmother used to put it on English muffin.
Really?
Or,
wow.
And I bet some like Japanese bands. Eventually, you're going to talk about natto at some point. I know maybe not all journalists, but ones who appreciate natto. They said they eat it with mayonnaise. These are like Nippon, like Japanese from Japan.
With mayo. Like the Kewpie mayo?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, right?
Okay, didn't wow me.
No.
Step up your game.
It didn't. Yeah, so hopefully these other ones will step it up. You kind of alluded to Susan,
Susan Tabernetti, yes.
Who was over at Pienza. Who were other influencers on you, mentors that kind of guided you your way in your career?
I really admired the writings of alt weekly folks and magazine folks. So it's people like Danielle Smith over at The Guardian. It was Barry Michael Cooper, who wrote about a lot of stuff culturally for Spin and other sources. Donnell Alexander was huge when he was at The Guardian for me. He wrote a lot of about music, but not from a personal way. And his book, Ghetto Celebrity, is really great. And he also wrote this really amazing story that just blows me away. It's Are Black People Cooler Than White People? I don't know. It's online somewhere, so go Google this.
When did this drop?
It's the illest story ever.
Look at that. This is from 97.
97, yeah. Put it out there. Still holds up today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it out. But it was like this intersection of culture and music and just living in the 90s. So it was things like this. It was also Giant Robot was huge.
Right.
If you have to go back to the mid 90s and realize just what a wasteland it was for Asian American kids growing up, because there was no power. You had no power in the media at the time. You had your newspapers, which is like Rakushinpo and Nichibei Times. That didn't really appeal to you unless you saw it at your grandparents' house and it was always there on the couch, which was what I did. And then there was things like Yoke, and there was A Magazine, and when you're a writer coming up, you're thinking, these don't really appeal to me, but power to the people, I'm still going to support them anyway. But it wasn't until a Giant Robot came along that kind of it came from like a punk rock, hip hop, skateboarding background, DIY background, where you can just throw that away and just write something that appeals to you.
Right, and Giant Robot started as a zine. Shout out Eric Nakamura, Martin Wong. Yeah, I mean that for me as well. You know, I remember reading their stuff and then
housing them on your dorm room floor.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on, and then I remember one of your articles that you wrote. Was it Money Mark or Kid Koala?
It was Cuber.
Cuber.
Yeah.
and seeing that and remembering bylines.
Yeah.
So that's why I was big on that.
Yeah.
And
it was a zine. It was like a folded and stapled zine, and you would read every single word just to see what was going on. Even though they were based in LA, but they still had so much power and influence on all the people that followed punk rock and Asian American stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember might have been before it came out, there was that book. A lot of us tried to like write for A Magazine and Yoke and whatnot, and to varying degrees of success. And then there was that book, Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time. We thought this was going to be like the Bible, and we bent over backwards to do the pieces for this. And Eric and I actually did a piece. We had to share a piece on noise, Japanese noise bands. So things like the Boredoms and those other fringe Japanese noise bands. And I remember I didn't get paid once by A Magazine.
that was definitely a critique on them.
Oh man, shout out to Jeff Yang. It's all good now, but man, we didn't get paid Nathan, and we were busting our asses for this thing. I do remember we did get a check, Eric and I, $10 for that piece that ran in here on noise music.
You get any residuals on that?
Oh yeah, all the time, man. See this house? Yeah.
Paid for it.
All right. We were like, what? It was our first time of being like. It was this. I think we all can look back at it now and think, oh yeah, they're gonna like use what they can from these hungry writers, and if we don't pay them, what are they gonna do? What's the recourse? And so I think a lot of us took that opportunity and said, okay, let's do it ourselves, and that's what we did. And that's what Giant Robot did. Another magazine kind of in that same mode was Grand Royal, the Beast Wars magazine. Right. That showed, kind of like they were kind of Giant Robot and Grand Royal were like the two big mags that had so much influence at the time. So I was definitely influenced by those cats too.
That's cool. Let's go to the second one.
Yeah.
All right, pick.
Shiso.
Oh, you want to go straight to the obscure new wave?
We'll do it.
All right. This one. Got that. All right. This one's the Mameki Shiso Nori Natto Kokusan.
Hi.
All right. There you go. I'll take one. See how this works. See the old school.
Ooh, these are big beans.
Ooh. What's your take on the big beans?
I'm down.
You are?
Yeah. Presentation wise, visually, aces.
Yeah. I like the medium-sized beans myself.
I'm not going to read too far into that, but go on.
All right, this is your standard,
environment killing styrofoam.
Yeah. Companies need to do a reusable, or not a reusable, but recyclable one.
Okay, so that's the Shiso. I wasn't mistaken. That is the Shiso. Almost like a pesto. It's like a Shiso pesto.
Oh, that's pungent.
There is a Natto museum in Japan, by the way.
Have you gone?
I was in Japan last summer. Did not go. Could not make it out there. Next, if anybody has it yet.
Is it in Tokyo?
It's like outskirts.
Oh.
So I take like a 45-minute train ride outside of Tokyo. I was like, how would Natto been 45 minutes? It's a pilgrimage.
I'm gonna go sans egg on this one. It's like a jelly, minus the mustard pack.
It does feel like like a pesto. like a natto pesto.
This hasn't quite thawed out yet, so it's going to take a little bit of work. Oh, there we go. You know, it's like a little bit frozen when you start working it.
Yeah, when you have the hot rice, it's like a
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have an emergency pot of rice ready to go. In case you need to switch it up.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Ready to do this? All right, I'm about to download.
I almost feel like you can get the same results if you got fresh shiso. That's a little bit, you probably have like a lighter taste. If you just, or actually a sharper taste if you have the fresh shiso. I never thought about adding that to natto before.
I was kind of iffy on this one when I bought it.
Yeah.
Not bad, actually.
No, man.
Flavor-wise.
I like to get this.
Texture is pretty good.
Let's say 8 out of 10. A strong 8.5.
You know what? I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm about to give this a 9.
Ooh.
Yeah. Pleasantly surprised. Big beans hold up.
Do you have a nurse on the set in case one of us starts choking?
Wouldn't have to down the beer. That's all right. It was all right.
You know, I was hitting up those natto rolls in 7-Eleven in Japan. Went to Tokyo last year. It's the best.
Along with
rice is perfect.
I think they make it in the back there, or they ship it from like a central
I
kitchen.
don't know what they're doing, but whoever's making the rice everywhere, they just got it down.
They're on point. That was pleasantly surprising. That was pretty good. Oh, thank you. Getting to like more of like the technical stuff, you know, deadlines and whatnot. You know, when you first started out, did it take you long for putting together an article? You know, was it something that was fairly easy to you? You know, and just speaking technically, you know, when you're putting together a review of an album, you know, are you more prone to listening to the beat first? Are you listening to the lyrics?
That's
what
good.
you know. What are you listening to when you're you know, when you're trying to put together your thoughts on an album? And then, you know, we'll get into a little more the deadlines and whatnot.
Well, I still do album reviews. My job is reviewing albums and writing copy for iTunes and Apple Music. And so like this week, for instance, I'll have 3 or 4 albums to write about. And one of them is this SoundCloud rapper guy. I don't want to say his name. But it's stuff that doesn't personally appeal to me because I'm more of an old school head. But so what I'm looking for is the toeholds, the things that people like about it. Why is this kid getting millions and millions of tracks on or listens on SoundCloud? I'm trying to tap into what makes it so irresistible to those kids and trying to see that in them. So it could be the beat, it could be the flow, it could be the content of what he's talking about. But right now it's a lot of the what sells and what streams is very more geared to the younger kids, obviously. So they want to get lit, they want to have a good time. You know, props to them. You know,
Right.
But so I still have to come at it in a way that's honest to the craft, to writing, to that sounds like us. It sounds like someone has listened to the record without putting my own personal views into it as far.
Now, are you when you get an album, are you listening to the entire album and kind of just jotting down notes?
Yeah. It's like, get the album and listen to it in the car, just like everybody else. And that's usually when the things that's when all the little sparkly things start popping up that you want to capture and then put it into the piece. The turns of phrase and the inspiration for that's try to find the crux of the piece. Will suddenly come to me, like in the car or after everybody's asleep or before everybody comes into work. There's maybe like an hour where it's completely unfettered, no calls, no nothing, where you can just sit down and just write and just listen to the record over and over again.
Are you getting flooded by people requesting, check this album out?
Thank God.
Or,
no.
Okay.
Thank God, no, that doesn't happen no more. Well, it's back
in the day. How was it back in the day?
Power Pulse and stuff like that. Yeah, you get boxes and boxes of albums sent to you on regularly on the week.
Right.
Big huge package from major labels and indie labels. And when I got to start doing pieces for Revive, oh my God, it opened so many doors that normally stayed shut. I did like 3 or 4 pieces, features for Revive. It was the first one, Raphael Sadiq, and the next
Tony.
Right. The next one was Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
And Sanaa Lathan. So I went hiking with Sanaa Lathan. I played putt-putt golf and Scrabble with Gabrielle Union. Hung out in the studio with Raphael Sadiq. And if you needed like anything, it's like, oh, no problem. Need advanced music? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Once they see your name and they see your writing, it's like, wow. It's like, normally it'd be San Jose Metro. What? I couldn't get anything.
Right.
But once you got like the vibe cred, and then people started sending you stuff. Same with Tower Pulse. Tower Pulse had a lot of reach because it was in every Tower Records, and I was a hip hop editor for almost 5 years. And I was able to get interviews with Maxwell and Talib Kweli, and I got a lot of indie rappers in there that some of them didn't even have records in their albums in Tower Records, but they trusted me enough to suddenly go, oh, since he co-signed on that, let's get the records in Tower Records. And so helped out people like Mystic Journeyman or Merce, and even like people like Jurassic 5 at the time. We were just coming up with, everybody saw how great they were and reviewed the album, pushed to get them featured. And it was a fun time.
Now, were you, then going back to the writing aspect of it, were you able to turn around those reviews fairly quickly? Were you able to kind of just construct these reviews? How was that challenging for you, or was it pretty easy?
It was fun. It was when you start getting into the routine, the regular schedule, you start finding the albums that you want to write about because you're familiar with the artist, or they're part of like a bigger trend or something that you're interested in. And also the labels are coming up. So if you get onto a trusted label and they start tipping you off on things coming in the future, you're going to be really eager to hit that as hard as you can to write about it. So deadlines can come, but sometimes desperation, as you know, as a journalist, produces wonderful things. It's like, oh shit, I was supposed to get this done by this day, and it's like maybe 9:30 p.m. on the night before, and just kind of clear out your schedule, put everybody to bed, clean up all the dishes, go into that room, flick on the light, put on the headphones, and just go.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I did that a lot in the late 90s and early 2000s, where you knock out everything else, and then you finally sit down with your computer and just go to town. Happened a lot.
That's pretty cool. Let's go to the next one.
Yes, sir.
All right, what are we gonna do?
I'm gonna pick one that I have not seen a rapper for, and this is this one. And it is Yuki Homare. Shout out Yuki Homare. Ora Osato.
Let's try it.
See, if you go into like a Mitsuo or Nichia, you're gonna get assaulted by the amount of natto brands there are. Okame, this is the OG. Definitely got love for Okame. It's my go-to.
All right, thank you, sir.
So prepare to produce these different strains.
Oh, this is once again. This is Big Bean.
Big beans. Ah, got the big beans.
I don't know about this Big Bean action. So big beans on this one. Actually, this is bigger than the other one. Seems like it's bigger beans.
I got big beans. You got big beans.
Oh, this one's gonna be slimy.
You ever broke out, had that moment, that experience of bringing smelly food to your school and getting chastised for it? Does your son have to ever experience that?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No. But he, I tried to give my son some natto and he wasn't down with it.
No.
Yours?
No, not yet. It's just too viscous, and the texture with kids is a bit of a challenge.
I'm gonna go with Son's egg too again. This one's gonna be.
I mean, I used to break this stuff out when I was first moved out, on my own with roommates. And then, of course, it causes this huge stir.
I had a kitchen plant at UC Santa Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
I did have some packets in the freezer. But see, you weren't, while you're in the kitchen, a lot of times no one would be in there, so you could just rip open a pack or two and not have anybody know. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bang.
Yeah. This one's looking.
Number 3.
This one's not as slimy as I thought it would be. Check it out.
So, between the slurping and the, I don't think there's too many YouTube videos of people eating natto. Maybe there is. Maybe it's an untapped subset.
I was looking through YouTube. I saw this dude who would do the review too. Japanese dude.
Like natto reviews.
Natto, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but he would just do one. We're hammering it out. We're doing like 5 or 6 right now.
Pro.
So we're
peak natto.
We just crushed him on that.
What's your take on this?
This one's got a little pungency to it.
Unctuous.
And then the taste is actually.
I think it's kind of an average, a bit average. Maybe it could have been leavened up with a bit of the quail.
I'm tasting more of a fermentation.
Really?
In this one, yeah. Yeah.
It just kind of lays there.
Almost.
There's no zip. There's no zip.
It's got a pretty strong aftertaste. That's what I'm saying, like the fermentation process.
Really? 5 out of 10. Average.
Ooh, you're kind of brutal. I'm gonna have to agree. I'm almost to the point where it's a 4 or 5. Might be higher if you're into that more fermented taste.
Damn.
All right. Let's go into interviews. We kind of touched on a little bit of them. Memorable interviews.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any of them? You have a top 2 or 3?
I've always found like Michael Franti of Spearhead and Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy, and now he's just kind of like doing his thing with the acoustic guitar, and he's always been 100 with me, always. Super intelligent, smart. Always has something to say. Always comes correct. DJ Shadow is another one.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been very generous with his time, and not a lot of people know this, but his dad lives in Campbell, and so whenever I wrote about him for Metro, he'd get like 3 or 4 copies.
Nice.
And so one time I saw him at Shadow at Streetlight, digging, of course.
And this is what it sounds, eh?
Yes. And, I came up to him and said hi, and he was all love. He was just like, oh, dude, my dad has the collects. Every time you have to write a story about my new record, he cuts it out and sends it to me. It's always in there, so thank you very much. I'm like, wow, cool. So, yeah, those 2. Yeah.
Now, what makes it a cool interview? It's
where it doesn't even seem like you're working. You're just kind of just chopping it up, just talking about that stuff where you come with a list of questions prepared and you just throw it away because you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting everything you need. Another one is the artist David Cho. He is like money for interview because he just has the best story.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember once when he had pretty much couldn't get any art shows in LA, so he came up to San Jose to be with his girlfriend and set up shop up in near Japantown, and made friends and was doing his thing. And I met him at his studio, and he was just making all this art just right on his patio, just fucking bomb-ass artwork, right? Like, it was just coming out of it. Just like works so fast and just shoots it up and cuts it out. And it was like an alien. He was so talented,
mm-hmm.
and he had the best story. So that was another story that basically wrote itself.
Mm-hmm. Are you recording these, or are you like writing these down?
I'm recording them. Yeah, I'm too lazy because I don't want to have to write things down and have to try to concentrate on getting the notes.
Right.
So I always record. I always kind of go, hey, is it cool if I record this? Can you say that again because what you just said was so good? And then 9 times out of 10 they'll say yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For Vibe stuff, it was like every interview I did with Vibe was great. It was so much fun because they're going to be in Vibe, so of course they're going to say cool things. It's not like you're being on the phone with somebody on a bus for some all weekly in San Jose. They know they're going to be in a big glossy magazine. They're going to bring you the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then Vibe's flying you out, or how?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was LA all 3 times.
Oh, okay.
But there were some things on the table like, hey, we want you to go hang out. It's like some story had fallen out, and hey, what are you doing this weekend? It's like Christmas weekend. And you want to go hang out with 50 Cent and talk about fatherhood. And I was like, well, it's kind of Christmas weekend. Okay, we'll pay you $3 a word. And I go, maybe that might be worth it. So I'm thinking, how many words? 2,000 words? Okay, make it 5. And they said, yeah, but eventually something else fell through, so I was lost out on that. But that was the wild days of freelance.
Right.
I mean, even Tower Pulse paid 50 cents a word, and so when I got people like Jeff Chang and Oliver Wang and John Caramonica got down with us to write stuff for us, you can kind of dangle that 50 cents a word. It's like, well, it's not like the Source or Double XL's paying that much more. You can do good work. So they got down with us.
That's cool.
Yeah. I can always say that, but on my resume, edited John Caramonica, the New York Times, Jeff Chang, a famous author.
Yeah, I mean that whole group of folks that that came out of that, writing for like Vibe and Blaze and Source and Double XL, all of them. It's kind of cool to see where they're at. But I mean, this game is hard, right? I mean,
it's been hard, yeah.
It's the grind.
I kind of saw that in 2006. My son was about to be born, and I'd kind of reached a plateau at Metro where I could stay the music editor and keep making that money. I could kind of like step up to another different editor position, but paid nominally well. But it'd be way more work and probably take me away from more family time. And then the job at iTunes opened up, and shout out to Wendy Chin. Thanks, Wendy, for putting me on. And I was able to take all that nerdery about music and put it towards this new thing that was called iTunes. Mm-hmm. And so I was still writing about music. I was still passionate about things I was writing about. So
right.
It's so key.
We'll kind of get into a little bit more. Let's have another. Have another one.
Let's do it. Okay, so I've had this Nijia one, and Okami is my go-to. So we're gonna hit up
right. Well, let's just tell them about this one. This is almost like this is the Nijia market brand, almost kind of like the Kirkland of.
Shout out to Kirkland, man.
What's
I
up?
can down with Kirkland. Big up Kirkland.
So natural Natto. We're gonna pass this up for now. But maybe we'll do it in another episode or something. But
I already know what to expect.
All right. So this one's got the kind of like the mid-size.
I like the way they spell it, Nattou, not two.
Oh.
So maybe it's kind of
It's got the pack and the mustard seasoning.
What's your take? What's your instant take?
I'm not smelling the pungency.
This one's fully defrosted too.
Awesome.
Pro tip for all those people with soy sauce containers at home: you just want to dab, put your finger over the other end, and you can shake it.
Ooh.
Pro tip.
All right, using the mustard pack.
Anyways, you're wrong.
Awesome.
Nancy is 12 years old. He does karate. He's a black belt. He's just getting back. You guys can come in.
That's all right. It's all good.
DIY. And I like the color. I like the consistency. To me, this is already a 7.
Oh,
just from visual presentation.
Tasted it yet.
Just from visual presentation.
Hello.
Good.
Hi.
What did you say?
Oh, good.
Oh, it does.
Oh,
wow.
I heard from your dad that you're not down with this.
Would you like to try some on camera for the first time?
And we're also live.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
You're on a podcast right now.
You're on a podcast right now, live.
All right, let's give it a go.
All right, here we go.
This is our third packet.
Is it third? Fourth.
Fourth.
Oh my goodness.
I'm being drunk. Not so drunk.
All right, here we go.
Now it says mild on it. It definitely comes with a mild flavor. It's kind of lacking the sharpness.
That's true. Almost to the point where the mustard is overpowering the
I can't even taste it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put in the mustard.
No.
My bad. I'm definitely drunk on Natto.
Dude.
If you know of any like first Natto seizures or smells, or you're gonna smell like it in the morning when you sweat, kind of like gnarly.
Oh, I should enjoy that later on tonight.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Almost too mild. I'm not tasting much.
Okay. I'm with you on that.
It seems like all the other components are overpowering the natto.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should. Next time we'll do this, we'll do it in like steps. Like we'll go from mild to so it's a graduated
like a
tasting.
flight, like a natto flight. Nice.
The IPA. We'll go from the shandy to the IPA of Natto.
That was all right. I'm gonna give it a 6. It's 6.5. I've got extra packets. You sure you don't?
This is my dinner, by the way.
Oh, it's healthy.
This is like a fantasy. Ooh.
Are you the only one in the family that eats it?
Oh no, Betty, my wife eats it.
I eat it.
Yeah.
Literally.
But I'm the only one that takes the whole package and like just to myself and just goes bang.
Are you usually laying out one packet at a time? Or are you using multiple?
I'll like put it all in like one silver container.
Yeah.
No, I use them one at a time.
One at a time.
Because there's no left. Because it'll take over the fridge.
Right.
You've got between the kimchi, which we keep outside, and the and
Did you
the
mention that?
yeah, and the not
That's all right.
a good Asian fridge.
Yeah. Worst interviews. You don't have to name names
Mm-hmm.
unless you want to, but what happened at one of your disastrous interviews? And how do you have to cope with that?
There was like a couple times when just the recorder didn't work. When either was on the phone, because back in the day I was too cheap to buy the contraption where you actually plug in your recorder into the phone and into your recorder. And I just that contraption. So I had the one that was a little suction cup that stuck to the back of your phone. And I don't know, I would probably get like a 6 out of 10, where 6 of them would record, and 4 of them I would just give the tape back. It's just me talking. And I've lost a couple of really good interviews that way.
Yeah, mosquito action. I don't know if that's fine.
So I think one of my first DJ Shadow interviews was like that. And at the time, I was also typing at the same time, and had the phone here and had the thing on, trying to record it, and then I wanted to fill in all the blanks that I had on my copy, but then it was just me talking. So I immediately, I forget how late it was. It might have been 11:30 when we got off the phone. Went back and just started typing and just tried to get it from memory. And there was another time with Jude Narita,
Mm-hmm.
the Asian American performer,
Mm-hmm.
where we had a really long conversation, probably like an hour long, and it was gold. It was so much good stuff. And then it didn't record also. And I actually called her back and told her what happened. And said, didn't pick up anything. Is it cool if we do it again? And it was fun. She's like, yeah, okay, let's do it tomorrow. And she actually came back with better stuff than the time before.
Okay.
Also remember there were times when there was a period when I was doing stuff for the Mercury News. I left Metro for about 2 years, even 5 years, when I was working on the BayArea.com era, the .com era, when everybody wanted to get their media presence on the web.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with a bunch of cool folks there, with Dan Wong and Ken and Lee and those guys. so on the side, I would do like stories for the Mercury News. And to break into that thing and just suddenly say, hey, I'm going to start writing for these guys, there was some C blocking going on. If something came through, it became this sort of like push and pull. Like I would just try to pitch these stories that I saw coming like months in advance, and I'd make the contact, I'd do the interview, and then right before I was going to start writing, their writer would try to start contacting. They would, oh wait, we already talked to Todd Inoue. He's doing the story for the Marcanego. Who's this guy, Todd Inoue? And this happened a couple of times, and so we kind of got brought in the room, and that told like, well, they have, since they're staff, they get priority. And it's like, well, I hustled a bit harder than they did, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then there was one writer who shall go unnamed. It was for Asian American Film Festival. And it was, I think it might have been the feature film that year, and I had set it up through Natto. I think they were called Natto, but they were called Camp.
Right.
And went out there and went to her place in Berkeley, the filmmaker's place in Berkeley. She opened the door. She had this white look on her face. I was like, is everything cool? And she said that she got contacted by a writer at the Mercury News who was absolutely furious that she was going to talk to me. And so she tried to C-block that. And we just kind of had to shake my head, and we ended up doing the interview and the story. Everything worked out fine, but still very territorial. So I think as for interview subjects that were difficult, I tend to forget those, put those in a place because it's just too painful to hear. But if things go wrong, there's ways to get it back on track. I remember Lady Sovereign, remember that rapper in 2002? Yeah. She was going through this huge like breakdown, and they put her on the phone. I was supposed to talk to her, and she was just said, I don't want to talk to you. I'm through with this. And she's walking in the street on her celly back in London. So I had to try to like draw her back in. But then when I found out that wasn't going to happen, I just kind of like talked to her as a person. It's like, is everything cool with you? I mean, are they trying to make you do things you don't want to do? Have you lost your motivation for this stuff? There's ways to frame it. And in the end, it didn't. The story never ran because I couldn't get anything out of it. So stuff happens. You just have to like adapt.
Now you pretty much, basically thinking on your toes, right? And trying to maneuver, try to get the story. Is that fairly easy for you? I mean, in terms of, trying to get that story back on track? Because I know that a lot of folks tend to go astray. You're trying to reel them in. But, what happens when it just goes completely awry?
Well, you just have to like you said, just kind of like just turn it into a conversation, because one of the lessons I've learned is that you prepare your notes, and then this is like a journalism class exercise where you have the kids prepare the notes to interview each other, and then right before you're supposed to do the interview, tear up the notes and tell them, okay, the interview starts now. And so they can't refer to their pages, because a lot of times they're just looking at the page and they're not listening to what the other person's saying. So they'll say, how did you get started? Well, I really had a hard upbringing, and my mom was a heroin addict and my dad died when I was 13. So do you think that your new album is, and so you have to listen to what they're saying and just follow up with it. It's part of being a good journalist. It's a lot of it's listening as much as expressing yourself.
Should we do the last one?
Okay.
Let's do the last one.
All right.
Which one?
We'll tap out.
Let's do this one.
Yeah.
Let's go to
Old familiar. No comment. How are you feeling? Like, how's your taste buds? You ever go to a crab feed? Have you been
Yeah,
to craft
not too many in my lifetime, but yes, I have participated.
Okay. And it sounds like a great idea,
Right.
but it's this marathon. It's this marathon.
Yeah.
You get
And
sick of the texture and the flavor.
I'm not. For me, I'm not sick of the texture. The flavor, though, I think definitely one of those. You know, like
I mean,
you
I love
suggested,
crab. I'll throw down on crab for sure.
but definitely the whole the flight,
Yeah.
right? Something that's mild to more strong. Oh, look at that one.
To me, this is like pinnacle. This is like home cooking.
It's like goes back to, you know, when I was a little kid, when they didn't have like 40 different brands out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I grew up on Shirakiku Natto, and that was dark, like dark and hard.
All right, here we go.
You ever try to make it like from scratch?
No.
You have to import the bacillus from like Japan, and I'm sure there's some sort of import laws banning various
I never. Yes.
natto bacillus into the country. Is there a domestic brand of natto?
Yes.
What is it?
There. I've seen like new up and coming. I didn't bring any.
It's like Whole Foods have
That I don't know, but I've seen you know, Nijia having U.S. brand.
Oh yeah, I guess Nijia. Well, I mean, this one would probably count as the Nijia brand would probably count as like domestic. You know?
Good question though.
Torrance, California. Product of Japan.
But that's distribution, right?
Yeah, product of Japan.
But I've seen like an organic line. The name escapes me, but there's an organic line that does have. I think they make it here. Yeah.
Get in touch with us.
That
That could be like my next 50 years.
All right, I'm gonna do this.
You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. It's so satisfying.
Mm.
Is this in high def? Because you got some mad strings. I do too.
Yo. Hopefully it picks it up. I don't know. We'll see. I'm about to take these strands over to my car.
You know, in Trader Joe's, you're not going to get up on this. Natto JoJo's.
Mm.
Someday.
See, this totally reminds me of like growing up.
You too.
This brand anyway.
This one's like some tea and some ochazuke.
Oh yeah. But nostalgia level alone, I'm gonna give it a 9.
I get a 9.
Yeah.
I don't think, well, I'm going to be generous and give it a 10.
Oh.
Yeah. Plus, you know, the Okame girl. No, you can see it. Yeah, there it is. I guess it's like an iconic, graphic. See the 2 eyes on the top of her head?
Oh yeah.
Might be her.
And you're saying that what were you saying that
Oh,
you saw a shirt?
Yeah, Uniqlo had it. I wish they would reissue that shirt. Because there's no natto product. You know, I've seen like rice bags and Calrose T-shirts, Spam.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is not content. Natto's not content level yet.
Well,
It's still a fringe product. Can we be real?
but I'm telling you, man, there's like at least 15 to 20 different types. Packaging, it's almost like wine, right? Like some of the packaging is appealing, and you kind of pull from it, right? I saw one with a couple deers, on it. I was thinking of bringing that, but maybe for the next one, we'll try to do that.
Oh, that's good.
Now, Todd, for the length you've been in the game, what kind of advice would you give to those coming up and, wanting to get in? Was there something that you would want to know as you were coming up that you would have known? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, first of all, the game is sort of like dissipated to the point where it's hard to make yourself stand out. There's so many outlets, and because of people's attention spans, things just disappear after a minute. Even you post something on either your Twitter or whatever, Facebook, and it's gone. Algorithms, doesn't set it right. So my advice is just to not be discouraged. It's an ongoing process. You don't just suddenly decide, this is something I want to do. I'm going to do it today. Once you convince yourself that it takes a while to develop your style, your voice, emulate the writers that you like until you develop your own voice. Not quitting is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Because there will be times when hours and hours of writing goes by, and you look at it later and go, this is absolute crap. Usually what happens is you write all night, then you wake up the next morning, and I don't know how many times I woke up in the morning and thought, oh, it's total garbage. But it's like rebuilding things. It's just like moving things around. Sometimes the best ending is actually your beginning. And you have to just move it up to the top and just reshuffling things to make it sound better. I guess another thing is don't fake the funk. Don't try to pretend to be something you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Be real.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of vague, but I don't know other way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Final three. If you were to do any other occupation, what would it be?
Next to writing, I'd probably have to be involved with either cooking or soccer. So one of those two. Like a soccer chef. Actually seriously considered last year, like volunteering for my hometown soccer team's program, like doing stories for them. Because some of the stories in the copy were absolutely atrocious. I was getting people's names wrong, and like copy would just kind of end and like not starting where like this could be like 10 times better. But then there's a danger of like working with something that you love and treasure and getting too close to it, rather than this perfect experience when you go to the stadium. You don't want it sullied by this dickhead and in the office. You want this pure thing. You want to enjoy going to the club every time they play. So yeah, I also enjoy cooking, so spreading that love somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh man, being a restaurant critic, it's great. I did it a couple times for Metro. God, it was fun.
Really?
Chefs are great. Chefs are great people to talk to.
You come unannounced, or?
No, just like go review this restaurant. Like okay, get they pick up the tab, and you have to be kind of like stealth with your notes, but who doesn't want to go out to eat 3 or 4 times a week and revisit the place and then write? Because you know you can write once you get confident enough.
Right.
You're like, let's do this.
So we'll see you in the gourmet magazine.
I did pitch Bon Appetit once. Like I did the Maxwell interview for Tower Pulse. And at the same time, I had this idea of doing like a food-related piece for Maxwell.
Uh-huh.
And after the regular interview was over, I just asked him like all these food questions about his love of like he's part Puerto Rican, so it's like all about his riffed on Puerto Rican food, and it was great. It was money, and I pitched them, and they said no thanks.
Wow.
They weren't getting down with R&B at the time.
You pitch that again, man.
Dude.
Any upcoming projects that you're working on that you want to share with us?
No, man. I'm so comfortable here. It's ridiculous. In the 408, dude. By the way, Jerry pulled up and he's like, "Can you keep your garage door open?"
Yeah. I'm not gonna disclose where you're at.
Come on, man.
I'm just like, man, come on.
It's like herbs. Ain't nothing gonna happen. So you might come up here and
I
leave a bottle of water.
I leave my garage door open. My car gets stolen.
No, so you're in the city.
All right. So this is the buffet.
All right.
We ending with a food and music question. What would your ideal like epic meal be, and what would you pair it with in terms of music?
I feel like once or twice a year we have that epic meal. It's tied to our fantasy league. We invite people over, and then we do our draft, old school, and everybody brings a dish, and it's always something. We've been trying to switch it up, but there's always like this big, huge plate of sashimi. Pro tip: always have a sushi chef in your fantasy league. Invite them over; they always come through. And then Super Bowl, everybody comes over to the winner's house, and then everybody brings something. And one year we had the sukiyaki that was with Kobe. It was like insane. It was so good. And then another time, the chef brought these steaks, these Kobe beef steaks. It was about 2 G's of meat cut up of prime grade A Kobe beef that he had in his restaurant freezer, and just brought it out and thawed. And it's like, here, he hands it to me, and there's like steak, like 10 steaks,
Right.
like thick. And all I had was my like propane grill.
Right.
And I can grill okay. And then I'm just kind of staring at it like this. Holy shit! And then I throw the sticks, get the grill going, throw the steaks on the grill. It's raining fat. And I turn my back, and it's just flumes of smoke is coming out. Parties happen down the street, by the way. They just sent me to go grill the stuff here.
All right.
If they saw what was going on, they would have like freaked out, because my grill looked like Dante's Inferno. But those steaks were, yeah. I mean, I was like turning the stuff off and on.
Yeah.
Let it like sizzle a little bit, put the flames down, put it back on, flipping them over, moving up in racks, and
Right.
Cutting off the heat on some tarts. Somehow I got it done, but I was like shitting my pants the entire time. So it would probably be, I try not to get gassed up, because that question is just, it's so open, because there's just too many stuff I'm going to leave out. So I just think that meal, those 2 meals a year are like epic meals. And why not some, how about some Mountain Brothers?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, now I pulled out some like the most Asian things in my house. This is one of them. This is like the Mountain Brothers Paper Chase 12-inch promo on Rough House.
Oh man.
So
Mountain Brothers, shout out.
What's up?
What's up, Steve?
Steve Wade.
Christopher, Chops.
The other thing.
I think I have that too.
The other most Asian thing in this house that's just like pure 90s Asian American. How about a turntable slip mat signed by Maxine Norm Kingston?
Oh, snap.
Oh, dude, this is like, I told her to put her favorite song, and it was like Beethoven's Ninth.
Woo.
Yeah, turntable mat.
Why is that not in a
It's like
case?
Huh?
Why is that not in a case?
Oh, man, we might cut this here. But yeah, so I just wanted to like
Awesome.
buffet people, step your game up. Come at me.
That is awesome. On that note, thank you very much. This has been episode 4. Todd Inoue, writer, editor.
Natto lover.
Natto lover for sure. Check him out. Where can we find your stuff? Just Google you.
Just look me up on Instagram at Natto Todd, Nattotodd, at Nattotodd, and on same thing at Twitter.
Check it out. Again, thank you for listening. Episode 5. We'll figure it out soon. But check me out, thebuffetshow.podomatic.com. On Instagram, The Buffet Show. On Twitter, The Buffet Show. So thank you, and we'll see you again soon.